Let's move on to our fourth main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth main topic today?
This is from Michael B Davila. John, reviews are coming in for The Irishman, and they are so good. As of right now, Saturday afternoon, the movie is at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with 41 reviews. Are you ready for this 3.5-hour beast? Are you ready?
Yeah, and this movie, they're saying, is coming in at 3.5 hours. And listen, The Irishman is a really interesting movie. I think this is going to be a movie that we talk about for a number of years as we look back at the history and the transitional phase that we're in with movies and how movies are done and all that kind of stuff. This was a movie that was originally intended to be a theatrical film. It got pitched to a bunch of studios. Nobody wanted to pick it up, which to me was a red flag that this must not be any good. Like, it must not be any good if the studios are all passing on it. Then a friend of mine, talked to me and said, Campea, what you're not taking into consideration here is it may not be that the script isn't any good. It may be that they're looking at it and thinking, this is great, but we don't think it could make money in the theaters. Which, when you look back at Martin Scorsese's film Silence that he did with Andrew Garfield and Liam Neeson, which is actually really quite excellent. I like that film a lot. It made no money. It made none. And let's face it, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro have not been burning up the box office. They did that little movie with 50 Cent. I still can't remember where the two were cops. I forget the name of the film. Nobody went to go see it. So it's like, yeah. And, they bring it up in the question. This thing is 3.5 hours long. That was probably a part of the conversations between Martin Scorsese and the things. Because, look, we're already wondering if this can make money. You make this 3.5 hours long. We think we're going to lose money if we do this, so they passed on it. So they go to Netflix where that's not an issue. And my friend actually convinced me. He's like, you know what? It's probably because of that. It's probably not because of quality issues. And if I still had any doubts about whether it was quality issues, those doubts have now been quashed. They have played it at the, which festival was it?
The New York Film Festival.
The New York Film Festival.
Over the weekend.
I just couldn't remember if it was that one or another one of the New York festivals, but they played it there over the weekend. They now have a number of reviews out. And it's not like there's only 4 or 5. As of right now, when you wrote the message, there were 41. As of right now, there's 47. And it is still holding, out of 47 reviews, a 100% critic rating. That means every single one of them liked it. And they didn't just like it. The reviews I'm reading are really great. Like, really, really great. Some criticisms, Rob, actually, about some of the things, one of the things that we were wondering about when we were looking at the trailers, some criticisms about the technology for the de-aging. Some said at some points it does take you out of it a little bit. But if you just understand that's a tool. And, because look, what was the one with Cher, it was the story about, where she had the son with the elephantitis?
Mask.
Mask, thank you. Mask, I watched that movie again a couple of years ago. At the time, the prosthetics looked great. Today, I'm looking at it, it's like, not so good. But you know what? That was just a tool. And even though the masks, no pun intended, didn't look all that super realistic by today's standards, you immediately get over that and you just get enthralled in the story. And it sounds like to me that, yeah, there are some points that maybe this new technology didn't work all that great. But they said for the most part it works. But if the story's that good that you just see past it, then it doesn't matter. It's just a tool, and that's fine. So hearing this, I got to tell you, I went from being skeptical about The Irishman to then my friend convincing me about maybe the reasons it's going straight to Netflix to being, okay, I'm curious about it. I wasn't a big fan of the first trailer. I liked the second one. But now hearing the response and the reviews coming out from the people who have seen it, it's now on my oh my God, I can't wait to watch this sort of thing. Even at 3.5 hours. You know why? Because this is home and I can hit pause and go grab a drink and use the bathroom or whatever. But at 3.5 hours at home, it's great. And I'll be honest with you, I was expecting good reviews. I wasn't expecting 100% at this point. Rob, I know you've been looking forward to this movie a lot. Are you surprised at all about hearing the responses we're getting around to this right now?
No, and I not at all. It's exactly, I mean, it's Martin Scorsese. It's exactly what I expected. This movie's going to play in theaters for 3 weeks. It opens November 1st. I'm going to go see it in the theater. I'm going to make a bold prediction, John. I bet you this movie wins Best Picture, Best Director, and Steve Zalian's going to take it for Screenplay.
Really? You're calling a huge sweep for this thing.
It's director, screenwriter, and picture. I can't say anything about the performances, but I'm willing to bet. And this movie is going to bring home to Netflix what they so desperately desire. Maybe they don't, but they want that.
Oh, they do.
They
they do.
They're gonna win. They're gonna win a Best Picture award this year for this movie, which is why they shelled out more money by a large margin than anything else they've ever spent money on, and they're going to take home that.
This movie is still a net loss for them. I mean,
Yeah.
financially speaking, they're going to lose money on this deal.
They're gonna bring
but that's
home-
okay for them if they get what they want out of it.
They're bringing home that gold statue for this movie, and it's going to change the conversation about streaming platforms and movies, and I think, you know what, you've got one of our maestros, one of the greatest directors who ever lived, working with some of the best actors who ever lived. He worked with Pacino now. This is the first time they've ever worked together. And you got Steve Zalian, who's one of my favorite screenwriters of all time. I mean, this movie it's also going to win cinematography, but it's crushing it.
Now, just
man.
be clear, you haven't seen this movie yet, right?
Have not seen it.
I'll be curious to know your impressions after you
I'm
actually
talking
see
out of my
it.
keister here, but I am making this bold prediction.
Well, guys, listen, I want to ask you, what do you think about these rave reviews we're getting about The Irishman at this point? I mean, they're certainly very strong. Are you surprised? Are you not surprised? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right.